Far away from crowded modern cities, beyond highways, glowing screens, and restless noise, there are places where the wind still moves slowly across endless sand. Tonight, as you settle comfortably into bed, we are going to wander softly through those quiet lands together. So take a deep breath and allow your shoulders to relax. Imagine warm desert air cooling gently beneath the evening sky, soft grains of sand shifting in the moonlight, distant lanterns flickering beside ancient walls built long ago by forgotten hands. Tonight's story is about the forgotten desert kingdoms, not the famous empires that fill school books, but the quieter kingdoms, the hidden caravan cities, the peaceful settlements resting beside lonely wells and ancient trade routes. These were places where merchants carried spices through the dunes, where travelers followed stars instead of roads, where children played beneath clay towers, and where the sound of soft wind against stone was part of everyday life. And now, very few people remember them. So tonight, we will remember them gently. You do not need to stay awake for all of it. Simply listen, drift slowly, and let the story carry you into sleep. Long before modern borders divided the deserts of the world, vast dry lands stretched endlessly across Africa, Arabia, Persia, and Central Asia. To many outsiders, deserts appeared empty, but they were never truly empty. They were filled with movement. Caravans of camels crossed the sands slowly and patiently, carrying salt, silk, incense, tea, copper, books, carpets, and stories. The desert was not silent. It breathed softly with life, and scattered along these trade routes were hidden kingdoms, places that survived because of whales, rivers, underground springs, and careful knowledge passed from one generation to another. Some kingdoms were built beside oases, surrounded by palm trees. Others rested high against rocky cliffs where cool shadows protected the people from the heat. Many were made from mud brick, glowing golden beneath the sun during the day and silver beneath the moon at night. In the evenings, lanterns flickered in narrow streets while merchants closed their market stalls. Families gathered on rooftops to enjoy cooler air after sunset. Some listened to storytellers, others simply watched the stars. The desert sky was often astonishingly clear. Without modern lights, the heavens stretched endlessly above them. People knew the stars intimately. Travelers used them as guides. Farmers used them to measure seasons. Poets wrote softly about them. And children probably fell asleep while hearing ancient stories about constellations drifting overhead. If you listen carefully now, perhaps you can imagine the faint sound of desert wind moving across sand dunes, and somewhere far away, the soft bell hanging from the neck of a camel. One forgotten desert kingdom rested near the edge of the Sahara. It was not enormous or powerful like Rome or Persia, but it was important in quieter ways. Caravans arrived there after long journeys through dry and difficult lands. Travelers would first notice the date palms rising from the horizon, then the wells, then the towers made from clay and stone. For someone crossing endless desert, even the sight of shade could feel magical. Inside the city, life moved slowly. Water was precious, every drop mattered. Families carefully stored it in clay jars, kept cool underground. People woke early before sunrise to complete chores before the hottest part of the day. Bakers prepared flatbread in warm ovens, goats wandered through dusty streets, market sellers arranged baskets of figs, almonds, salt, and spices. Children carried water carefully in painted containers. At midday, much of the city rested. Shutters closed against the bright heat. Only the distant sound of wind and occasional footsteps remained. Then in the evening life returned. People gathered again in courtyards cooled by night air. Tea was poured slowly. Musicians sometimes played soft string instruments beneath lantern light, and travelers shared stories from distant kingdoms nobody else had ever seen. The desert connected worlds together. A merchant might arrive carrying silk from China, spices from India, or glass from Mediterranean ports, and yet even with all this movement, many desert kingdoms remained peaceful places of patience and routine. Their greatness was not always measured through conquest, sometimes it was measured through survival. Because surviving in the desert required wisdom. People learned how to build homes that stayed cool naturally. Thick mud brick walls protected interiors from heat. Small windows allowed breezes to pass through. Courtyards often held fountains or shaded trees. Some desert cities even built underground channels to carry water quietly beneath the sand. These systems were engineering wonders, though many people today have forgotten them completely. In Persia, ancient builders created qanats, underground tunnels that carried fresh water across long distances. Workers dug carefully beneath the earth, sometimes for miles. Above ground, the desert looked dry and empty. But below, water flowed silently through darkness. Thanks to these hidden systems, gardens could bloom in surprising places. Imagine walking through desert heat and suddenly discovering green orchards filled with pomegranates and apricots. The sound of birds, cool water flowing softly, leaves moving gently in evening wind. To ancient travelers, these places must have